You see that little orange glow on the dash, Alex? That's the engine's way of crying for help light. Most folks treat it like a low battery warning on a TV remote. They ignore it until the whole thing stops working. But that light is actually a doorway to a conversation the car's been trying to have with you for miles.
A conversation? Tiger, usually that light is just the car telling me I didn't click the gas cap 3 times like a secret handshake. It's less of a conversation and more of a vague threat to my bank account.
Well, you're not wrong about the gas cap. But that port under your steering wheel, the OBD2, it's like a confessional. Since 1996, every car sold in the States has been required to spill its secrets through that 16-pin plug. Back in the day, if your car was acting up, you had to jump 2 terminals with a paperclip and count how many times the check engine light blinked. 1 long flash, 3 short, code 13. It was like learning Morse code just to find out your oxygen sensor was feeling lazy.
I remember you telling me about that. It sounds like a great way to accidentally fry a computer with a paperclip. But now we have these, which look like oversized Game Boys. If it's so easy now, why are people still terrified of that little orange engine silhouette?
The fear comes from the part cannon mentality. People plug one of these in, it reads PO300, random misfire, and they immediately spend $400 on new fuel injectors, spark plugs, and a prayer. Here's the reality. A code doesn't tell you what's broken, it tells you who's complaining. If the code says system lean, that's the sensor screaming because it's starving for fuel, but the culprit could be a cracked vacuum hose that costs 50 cents in 5 minutes to fix.
So it's a symptom, not a diagnosis.
Exactly. You've got to be a bit of a detective. Before I even pick up a wrench, I do a full system scan. And I mean everything. You want to see the pre-work state. I once had a fella bring in a car that wouldn't start. He'd already swapped the starter, the battery, and the ignition switch because he didn't scan it first. He'd introduced so many new variables, it was like trying to solve a puzzle where someone kept throwing in pieces from a different box.
Let me guess. You scanned it and it was something stupid?
Fuel pump relay, $10 part. If he'd scanned it first, he would have seen a no communication or a specific fuel circuit code. He paid tuition and time and frustration on that one because he didn't check the map before he started driving.
Okay, let's talk gear. We've got these cheap Bluetooth ones that talk to your phone, and then those massive tablets that cost as much as a used Honda. For someone just trying to keep their daily driver on the road, where's the sweet spot?
If you just want to know why the light is on, a basic $30 code reader is your best friend. It'll give you the 5-character code, like PO420. But if you're like us, you want those Bluetooth adapters. They give you live data. You can watch your coolant temperature climb or see exactly how much air the engine is breathing in real time. It's like being able to see the car's pulse.
But wait, I read somewhere that those cheap tools can actually mess things up. Is that just professional mechanic propaganda, or can I actually brick my car with a $20 piece of plastic from the internet?
Well, you aren't going to turn your Camry into a brick just by reading a code. But some of the really bargain bin tools get confused. They might give you a generic definition for a code when your specific car has a manufacturer-specific meaning. A P1 code is where the car makers get to use their own secret language. If a tool tells you something that sounds like gibberish, like driver's seat ejection circuit malfunction on a minivan, always double-check that code against a reliable database or even just a focused search for your specific model.
Walk me through the secret code. It's always a letter and 4 numbers, right?
Right, it's a bit like a library filing system. You've got P for powertrain, that's your engine and transmission, the heart and guts. C is for chassis, like your ABS brakes. B is for body, airbags, power windows, that sort of thing. And U is for network. U codes are the worst. They mean the computers in the car aren't talking to each other. It's like a Thanksgiving dinner where nobody's speaking to the uncle who brought the weird potato salad.
And the numbers?
The first number is the big one. If it's a 0, it's a generic code that means the same thing on a Ferrari as it does on a Ford. It's the international language of broken cars. If it's a 1, that's the manufacturer being fancy. Then the second number tells you which subsystem is throwing a fit. A 3 usually means ignition or a misfire. A 7 means your transmission is having a bad day.
Okay, so I plug it in, I see P0302, I know it's a powertrain issue, it's generic, and it's in the 3 category, which is ignition. Number 2 cylinder is misfiring. Now the tempting part, I just hit clear, right? Problem solved?
That's like putting a piece of black tape over a low fuel light and being surprised when you run out of gas. Clearing the code doesn't fix the hole in the bucket. It just hides the puddle for a minute. Some codes are hard faults. You can hit clear until your finger bleeds, but if the sensor sees the problem again within 2 seconds of the engine turning over, that light is coming right back on.
So when is it okay to clear them?
You clear them after you think you fixed it to see if the car agrees with your repair, or you clear them to see how fast they come back. If I clear a code and it stays gone for a week, it might have just been a hiccup, maybe a bad tank of gas or a momentary sensor glitch. But if it pops back the moment you hit the highway, you've got a real drive cycle issue.
I saw this weird tip in a manual once. Something about a VW Beetle where the oil light wouldn't go off unless you actually open the hood. Is that real or just car guy urban legend?
Oh, it's real. Computers are only as smart as the person who wrote the code. That Beetle was programmed to assume that if the oil was low, you'd obviously open the hood to add more. If the sensor that detects the hood opening was broken, the car would think, well, they never opened the hood, so they couldn't have added oil. I'm keeping this light on. It's a logic loop. You have to understand that the car doesn't have eyes. It only has sensors. If a sensor is lying, the computer is going to make a bad decision.
See, that's why people get frustrated. It feels like the car is gaslighting you.
It can feel that way. That's why you always check the simple stuff first. A mouse chewing through one single wire can trigger 6 different codes for parts that are perfectly fine. I always tell people, look for the organic problems before you go chasing electronic ones. Is the connector plugged in? Is the wire frayed? Did a squirrel decide your engine bay was a great place to store walnuts?
Speaking from experience with the walnuts?
A 1998 Dodge Neon. The airbox was so full of acorns the engine was literally suffocating. The computer was throwing codes for every sensor it had because it couldn't understand why there wasn't any air. I spent 2 hours testing sensors before I realized I was fighting a very industrious squirrel.
So, the takeaway for the folks listening?
Get a tool, even a cheap one. Don't be afraid to plug it in and listen to what the car is trying to say. But remember, the scanner is a compass, not a GPS. It tells you the direction to walk, but you still have to do the walking. And for heaven's sake, don't start buying parts until you've looked at the wires.
And maybe check for squirrels.
Always check for squirrels. They're the original computer hackers.
That's it for this week's deep dive. We'll be back next time to talk about why your welder sounds like it's frying bacon.
Stay greasy, everybody.